Hello everyone, this is Ann. I just want to show you a couple of things that you can do with your text in Silhouette Studio. I have the business edition, which unlocks more of, I guess you call it the bells and whistles of the software. So there are some things that I'm not sure if can be done with the basic edition, which is the free software that came with your cutting machine. I'm hoping that you can do these things. The knife tool is what I'm using mainly, so that should work. But if you are unable to do it because you have the basic edition, I apologize in advance. Now, my version of Silhouette Studio is 4.1.201. So I guess you could say 4.1, the latest one of it, and they're constantly updating this all the time. So my screen may look a little different from yours, but it should work the same. It's just I'm going to go to perhaps different locations within the design window than where your icons or tools are at. So let's get started. I want to show you this one first. So let me slide the split letter over there to the side. And this was really simple to do. All I did was type text. So I just clicked on the text tool. And I will type in my letter. You can use thick fonts or thin fonts. I think this time I'm going to change it and use, I think I have, yeah, impact is on here. So just use the impact, and I really don't like that red outline around it, so I'm just going to change that to the same color blue. I just like it to have that more polished look to it. But with this, all I did was go over to the knife tool, and when you click on the tools here to the left, your options on how you which one of them you want to work with or how you want to tweak it appears here on the bar right below your standard tools there. So I want freehand because I want to be able to move this any way that I want to. But if you just want solid, then all you have to do is position your knife exactly. I must still be on freehand. I think I am. Let me just go back a step. Straight is what I want to be on for this one. So I'm just drawing a straight line. So you just be careful where you position it at. And at that point, I've made that cut. So if I go back to the select tool and I click on it, you see I can move it up and down. Or I can click on the first one, hold the shift key down and click on one by one, or I can grab that top half of it and then just right click and group. And then I can just move the top half from it. So that's up to you how creative you want to be. Let me just kind of go back a couple steps to get it before I use the straight. Okay, so I'm just going to click on the knife tool, and this is where my options are. I want freehand, but you can use any of these. It doesn't matter. But freehand is what I want because I want to be able to cut it down here, go up around there. And I'll go back over here. And because I have all these loopy loops on here, I need to just click on the first one, hold the shift key down and select the pieces because it might be next to impossible to try and select all of it without getting the other parts of the letter in there. So I'm going to group it now, and I think I left a part off. Yes, I did. So shift key down, grab that other part there. So now I'll group it, and let's go over here and change the color of it. And I'll just move this out of the way for now and come down here and grab the bottom half of it. If those are the colors that I want, and I'll group this. And of course, put this back to where it is, because if you're going to cut it, you're either going to cut it by color or you will manually move it off. And I think I moved some things around over here. So I'll just right click on it and select ungroup so that I can use my arrow key and put them back into the position. And that one probably would have looked better, I'm guessing, if I would have made it black. But that's all in your design part of it. This one here, and I'll just zoom in so you can see what I mean, is trying to line them up. Usually you can use the align tool, but because I did this free-handed, it would drive the software crazy trying to get in alignment. So I'm just using the arrow keys on my keyboard in order to put them back in place. So that is what I wanted to show you on how easy you can do this. There are other ways to do it, but I just find that this is just so much simpler to do it this way. So let me zoom back here. I'm just going to group all of this. Move it over here to the side. I think everyone at some point in time have liked this split monogram, and there are so many different ways to do it, and I don't think there's any right or wrong way on it. I'm just going to show you the way that I do it. And it works really with not just letters, it will work with objects as well. And so the first thing you want to do is to get your letter. I use my initial of my last name, so I'll just go with my first name for this one. I'll highlight it, and this one is Regal, but as I say, it doesn't really matter which one you use. And I'll grab another color this time and change the line color as well. So now I have my A. I'm just grabbing one of those handles at the end of the letter and making it larger. And if you notice, this block is sort of misleading because it's saying that my letter is 7.757 inches in height, and it actually isn't, because we have all this extra space that's here. So all I have to do is just right click on it and make it a compound path, and now it shows what the true size is, because size might matter depending on which project you're working on. So I'm going to make it large to begin with. It just helps me with my eyes. And so as far as the split part of this now, just move this up here so you can still see it, is to go over to this knife tool, and I was on freehand with the last one. Now I want to be on straight, and I need to decide where I want to cut this at. I don't want to cut it in the middle of the A. To me, it just looks like it may not have the same visual effect that I'm looking for. So I'm going to just probably try to get maybe somewhere in here. So I could pull one of the guides down to where I want it, but I just like to eyeball mine, whatever works for you. So I'm just going right across here to separate it. And I did, so I'm going back to the select tool, because now that it's separated, I want to highlight all the way down to where I cut that at. And I think that that's about it. So I'm just going to right click and group, and that's it. Yes, I do have some little remnants that I'm just going to click on and hit my delete key, and that is one of the things if you use some of these fancier uh, fonts that have just little pieces in it. So I know that the bottom half here, all I have to do is highlight all of it, and I'm going to group it. And so I basically have the hardest part of this done. So just to show you that you don't have to worry about placement at this point, I'm just going to move this over, sort of move this around, because everyone sort of goes crazy with trying to realign it once you split it. But you really don't have to worry about that because you have the align tool. The next tool that you're going to use is to make these bars right here that the name is going to go on the inside. So you just want to click on the rectangle tool, and you want to make a small rectangle, thin or thick, whatever is your preference. I'm going to say that that's okay for me, and I'm going to leave it at blue just so you can sort of see what's going on with it. Let's see here, back to the select tool, and I want to just move that over, which I really didn't even have to move that over because, but let me duplicate it and just bring that one down here. The reason I didn't have to move that over is because all I had to do is select the top half of the letter A that I've already grouped along with this rectangle and come over here to the alignment tool and say align this horizontal. Now it's automatically aligned. And I'll do the same here, and you notice that it aligned itself with it, but the top and the bottom isn't aligned. And like I said, I did that on purpose. What I want to do now is to go back to the page because I want to click on this, and I'm still trying to find my way around on this. Maybe it is under transparency. Under here, yes. Under the feel or the color, I clicked on that bar and I want to make it transparent just so I can see underneath it, because I want to make sure that there's a slight overlap, but not really too much. So I'm going to use those arrow keys. I needed to touch just slightly, because now what I'm going to do is weld these two top pieces together. And I can go here and weld, or I can click over here on the modify window and weld, but I think we all still share the same icon. So now that's welded together, and I'm just going to regroup it so it's grouped now. And then I'll click down here, and the same thing, I need to make it more transparent through it to tell. Now you might be able to just eyeball it and not even need to make it transparent like what I'm doing. It looks like I need to make it a little more transparent to be able to see. So that looks like I can see that it is slightly overlapping with it. So I'll go back and weld, group it together. Don't need it. And so I basically will have my split letter, but I'm going to raise this up some so that I can tell about how much space I want to put in here. I might want to put 2 lines of text to do it a little differently than where most people just put 1 line of text. I might want to say the Huffmans established 1987, whatever way you want to do it. You go ahead and just create however much space that you want in it. That probably is going to be good, and you can resize it later. So now let's highlight both pieces and let's go over to align and let's align them center. Now they are perfectly aligned. So at this point I can group it, type in whatever I want my text to be, position it where I want it to go. If I'm not sure if I'm dead center with it highlighted, hold the shift key down, click on the letter, and let's position it. Now it says that it's dead center. So at this point, all I would need to do is group all of it together. For the newer version is going to the send window, turning on my cut lines. Everything that's red is going to cut and I'm ready to go. For the prior versions, you would look for the little blade, the cut icon. So let me get out of this and go back to the design window. And so this is all that it is to it. Of course, hold your shift key down, grab one of the handles, and then you can reduce it to whatever size you want, maintaining the dimensions without them being distorted. If you want to know what it's going to look like on whatever your image is, your object is, just draw another rectangle around it. It's going to be on top. Just right click, go back to the select key here, select it, right click on it, and send it to the back. Now you see what it looks like. Of course, that blue is not looking so good, but maybe that's the color of the shirt that you're going to be using. And so that's all it is to it. I hope you enjoy this. If you have any questions, just feel free to post them.